Okay, let's get everyone facing forward, everyone quiet. Let me see all your bodies facing the screen. Okay, so really quickly, what I want to do is I want to go over a few techniques, okay? The first technique that I'm going to go over is paper cutout. So what paper cutout is you can draw anything you want and then cut it out of paper. Okay, so I drew some tears here. But you could draw, I don't know, a cat. Like, do something better and more imaginative, right? But you can cut this cat out. I'm using horrible safety tips right now. Make sure you're moving your paper and never putting your pen or your finger in front of the course of the blade. Now, if you use paper cutout, you do not, and I just went way crazy, but you do not want the line left on your paper, okay? Now what you can do with paper cutout is you could put it on top of another paper, okay, that I have colored cardstock, and Sweet Ray brought in all kinds of different cardstock. Now the one thing about cardstock is it is a thicker paper, and so you have to press a little bit harder to cut through it, okay? But the other thing that you could do is you could go through the magazines. Let's say that I wanted to use this piece and I cut it out, I don't know. I don't recommend using white. White is kind of hard to balance because it's so bright. But that's all I grabbed at the time. And then I remembered Ray brought all the awesome paper and then I went and grabbed some, but I had already cut this out. So let's say that this was a piece that you wanted to put on yours. You could flip through the magazines and try to find something that it would vibe with. Ooh, that's interesting. I don't know that red and blue and green are giving me like teardrop vibes, but you can also pair it with something from a magazine. Everybody kind of feeling me on that one? Mm-hmm. Who remembers what this one's called?
Paper cutout.
Yeah, paper cutout. Good job, Drew. Okay, so you can pair things that way. That's one interesting way that you could create something. Now, let's say that you want to make a panda bear and you cannot find a panda bear, okay? There's two ways that you can do that. The first way, well, there's a bunch of ways you can do that. But the first way that I'm going to show you is, and I'm not going to actually do this because it's way too time consuming. This is a time consuming situation. If you want to draw something with paper, one of the ways you could do that is by making a mosaic, okay? These are very, 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 very time consuming. And I'll show you some examples. So here's an example where everything that you see is drawn just with paper cutout. Okay, so there's all these different values of blue. There's all these different values of blue. This is one large piece of blue. This is one large piece of blue. The hair is different shapes that are creating, there's a mosaic in the background of the skin color. Then I cut out the eyelashes in one piece. Does that make sense to everybody? It's more time consuming, okay? But you could do maybe a small portion of yours in a mosaic style where you draw it out and then it's kind of like paint by number. You decide, okay, this piece of hair in this shape, you want to work with shapes if you do this, okay? So a good way to do that, where did my paper go? Oh, I just lost it. Oh, there it is. So if you want to do a mosaic, what I recommend is, let's say that you have your panda bear, right? You would start by drawing your panda bear. You guys, am I going to do a great job right now? No. But alas, here we go. That's his nose. Whatever. You get the point. Okay. So let's say that that's it. I'm going to need a few different colors. What colors am I going to need? I'm going to need black, maybe some white. So today what we're doing in our process, we're not building anything yet, but knowing what your process is going to help you find the right images. Today our only goal is to find colors and images that can help us actually create what we want to create, okay? So if you've gone through all of these magazines and you can't find the right panda, the right shape, guess what? You're going to have to build it, okay? Here, let's use this. This is black enough. We'll use that, Okay, so what I can do here is I can start ripping up little pieces of black and start putting those in the black area, and then I will one at a time cover up my drawing and create the image of a panda. Everybody feeling me on that? And you could even, I could use the white here on the edge, but I could probably, this might be a little bit more interesting, is if I ripped up the white with the black letters for the actual panda white part. Okay, you guys see how we're doing this? So that is a mosaic option, okay? The next option that you guys have, and then I would glue it all out on this piece of paper, and then when it's all on there, you actually cut it out and put it on your picture as one piece. Yeah? Okay. The next thing that you guys can do, another tool in your toolbox here, number 3 is, oh you guys, silhouettes. I don't know if that's how you spell silhouette, okay? But in order for a silhouette to work, you have to find something with a recognizable silhouette. So let's say I like this red, orange color. So look at my body right now. If I stand up like a pencil and I put my arms and my legs in and you just took my silhouette, would it be like super obvious that I'm like a person? Not so much. You might be able to tell with the shoulders and the head, but that would be the only, like that could maybe be a tool of some sort as well, all right? In order for it to look like a human when it's cut out with just one color, you're gonna have to be able to see some of the actual shape of the person, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm going through here right now, and I'm looking for something that is recognizable in its shape, just to show you as an example. Sure, that goat. Let's say you want to put a goat in your picture, but you don't like this picture or whatever. You want it to be, maybe this color doesn't work. So you have a whole harmonious vibe going on with your color. What you can do is you can put this picture on top of here, and I have these really nice scissors that you can check out. They're expensive and they're sharp. They're sting is sharp. They come with a lid. Half of the lids have gotten lost through the years, but you can use this. And so I would pick one place to kind of tack it down and work around that area, so I'm not going to move my thumb so much. And what I can do is I can start to cut out, and I would take more time than what I'm going to take right now. So see how my posture right now, it is not natural. See how my arms and wrists are moved? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace, make sure I don't move the two. You can get rid of that, it's in my way. That's called a relief cut, by the way. And I'm going to continue cutting. You take your time, I'm kind of rushing this. And you can get the silhouette. That's in my way, so I cut it off. I don't know, is this a goat? What is this? There we go. You see how sharp those points are on the tips? Ooh, don't do that, I just ripped my leg off. Do better, kids, do better. Try to rush it so you guys don't get too bored. So now, oops, I have a one-legged goat. Okay, ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Do better, okay? So that is one of your options. The next thing that you can do is you can layer, okay? And it's layering with value. And what that is it's kind of in this example right here. See how the hair is all one piece. It's not a mosaic of a bunch of little pieces, okay? So in order to work in this way, what I could do is I like to start first with like the major silhouette. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I like, when I'm cutting, I like to cut off all the excess or else that's gonna get in my way. See how floppy that is? So I'm just gonna get rid of the excess, the big parts, and I'm gonna cut out the big silhouette. And again, I'm rushing this. You take your time. I'm pinning it really close. Notice how they're still perfectly together. I haven't let it move at all. You definitely have to be good at holding things still to do this. Okay, so now I have the major silhouette of the panda. So you could also just do a hand-drawn silhouette Everybody see that? You don't have to find the perfect silhouette. You could use a reference online and make it that way. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to, I'm gonna go to this piece right here, and I'm actually gonna cut it up. Oh, I lost it. So I'm using this as a stencil, and I lost the paper too. Whatever, I can put it right here. So I'm gonna hold it real tight. And I should really be using the smaller scissors for this, but this is fine, it's not too intricate. And then I could actually glue that piece onto this piece, and it should fit perfect. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm kind of making a puzzle, and I add layer after layer after layer of different colors. Now, if you get really good at this, what you can do is you can play with the nuances, like that right there, it looks pretty flat. What do I mean by flat? I mean it looks like you colored it in with one value. And that's not the end of the world, but it's definitely not the best I got in me. So maybe what I do is I take a little piece of gray and I put it inside of the ear to give it a little bit more depth. Does that make sense? So now I'm adding in value to my areas, so it looks a little bit more realistic. Everybody following me? Okay, so you'll just keep cutting out, and I have the picture of the panda here. Then I'll go and I'll cut out that ear, and then I'll cut out this. I don't need the face anymore. I'll save. And if I was to cut out this one with line, this one I would definitely use. Let me go ahead and put that on here. If you're going to do paper cutout, everything has to be a shape, okay? So see how this nose right here is, there's a big shape here and there's two lines. Everybody see that? You can't cut out a line. It's gotta be at least a little bit thick, okay? So to help myself, I'm gonna go ahead and make those a slightly wider, okay? And then I would use the small bitty scissors, and I would cut all that out together. Is wee bitty. Okay, so now I have the nose area for my panda. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so those are some really great tools that you can use. I want to show you a few more. We're doing mixed media, so it doesn't all have to be in just paper. These are collages that some of my kids have done in the past. And this one is a mosaic, but on the mosaic they've actually drawn on top of it to add detail. So with mixed media, it's kind of anything goes. All right, if you feel confident. Now this is a collage unit. I taught them how to make tessellations with collage. You could build a pattern with your collage by cutting out different parts. Now this one is coming off because of some bad glue job. And then here is another example of mosaic. And I do want you to notice that, like in this area, they've ripped out the shapes so that they all kind of feel long, and there's like a movement to how they've glued them down. Some of you guys, when I see you making your collages, like let's imagine that this is your paper right here. This actually is the size of your paper, and this size of paper is actually just a half a sheet of a regular size of printer paper. So if you want to gauge, I'm not going to give you your paper yet because no one's allowed to glue yet. But this is the size of a regular size of paper for printing. We're doing half of it, okay? But I see some of you guys, you take you get like one big area that looks great. Like let's say for a second that this was what you wanted, but all you could find of it was that big, and you're trying to cover the whole thing. And I see some of you you're looking for green everywhere, and you find another piece of green, although I can't find another piece of green. Let's say you get this piece of green, but all you can find is that size of green, and you just stick it there. And what happens is it starts to look really busy. Does that make sense? Because you're just using whatever shape you could find. You're not actually creating the movement. In this one, the pieces are cut up and arranged in such a small way that they're creating the movement, and it doesn't feel blocky when you do something like this. Does that make sense to everybody? Did anybody see that? Where you're like, oh my goodness, I have something, but it's not quite the right size or the right shape? Well, sometimes ripping it down and making it into smaller pieces can help us, like, you know, kind of our eye blends it together. And you can see it here, like I can see the same picture here, it's over here, it's over here. There's another piece over here and over here, and it's spread out so that it doesn't get heavy on one side versus the other. Does that make sense to everybody? Is this helpful? Okay. Now here is the situation. Nice to see you, yes. We right now, the reason why I've given you this demo before we're actually going to build anything is because I want you to be on the lookout. Okay, if you can't find the perfect panda, you know that you have several different ways that you could build your own panda. Okay, but if you do find your panda, awesome. But you should also just be looking for anything that you find that you're like, okay, that could, you're gonna not use 80% of what you rip out. Probably 90% of what you rip out, you're not even gonna use. Okay, so don't worry about that. Like if you really like this green, just take the whole paper out and then figure out a way that you may or may not use it later. Today, all I really want you guys doing is collecting still. Okay, now let me illustrate the process of what we're going to do for you. First thing we're going to do is we're going to collect. Why is collecting the most important thing to start with in this process, Dream?
So you have your stuff so you can glue it down.
Yeah, because you might find something gorgeous that you weren't expecting. You might have found this shape and that's perfect for you and you didn't even plan for it. Okay? Or it might have been like, remember this picture that I showed you guys? You might find the perfect picture of a lady in a boat and it might be perfect and you didn't even plan for it, but you found it. Okay? So we need to collect everything we can collect today, and I might give you one more class for collections. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start arranging. So remember when we were doing our abstract collages and I made you guys take 3 pictures? You're trying out, you don't have to take pictures when you're arranging, but you're trying out different things. What if I put, you know, this one in the background and put this one in the foreground and I cut the goat out and I'm trying things out. Does that make sense? Now, when you start arranging, what's going to happen is it's going to become very clear of what you don't have. Okay? So if you're looking for a kitchen sink and you can't find a kitchen sink, at this point you know that you're going to have to build stuff. Okay? So you're going to build stuff. The very last thing that we're going to do, well, then we're going to arrange again. Because you got to make sure it all works after you build the stuff you're going to build. Say once I've built my panda bear, I got to refigure out the arrangement of where I'm going to put it. Okay? Then the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our focal point. Okay? After we draw our focal point, we're going to do our final arrangement. And then arrangement. Okay, and then after we do that, then we're going to glue. But there's a very important step here, and this is a Smithers check. You have to get my permission to glue. Okay, now I want you to know that there are a few more demos. Okay, today I did a demo on your options. Okay, these are your options. You're going to collect today and maybe one more class. You're gonna start arranging. Then you're going to build. But the next demo that I'm going to give you, which this is kind of the building demo today. The next one I'm going to give you is how to draw your focal point. Okay, so I'm going to give you a demo for that one. And then I'm also going to give you a demo on how to glue. Does that make sense? I'm going to show you how to use rubber cement. You can still, if you did a good job with glue stick, you can still use glue stick. But we have 2 more demos coming. So what I don't want is nobody should be using glue. Does everybody understand glue is off limits for the time being? We are so far away from getting to that point, all right? Today we're just collecting. Does anybody have any questions? How many of you guys feel like you totally understand what you're doing today? How many of you are feeling a little hesitant about what we're doing today? You're not sure, you feel a little anxious about it? And who doesn't know what scissors are? Okay, we're good. All right. Bobo, all right. I'll show you what scissors, okay. I would like for one person from each table to get out a big stack of magazines. Oh, no, there's one more thing. There's one more important thing. What are all of these, you may wonder? These are my special papers that I collect for you. I go to antique stores, I do projects in my advanced classes, and I save them so that you guys can collage with them, okay? So each one except that one, I'll put a label on it. This one is books and maps. Okay, so inside of here, there's like paper. I just bought this for you guys. This is like, you know what it is, you used it before. But it's a nice background color. Does that make sense? It's kind of like a nice neutral. I also in here have a roll of brown paper that you can use, and it's different than the brown paper over there. So we have 2 different values of brown, which is really nice if you're building stuff. We also have some fold out maps. So if you would like to use one of these, cut off what you want to use because they're big. Other people can use the other portions. So you notice here how somebody has already taken a little bit of the map. That's fine. Take what you want and then fold it back up. Okay? So, and there's also books in here. There's storybooks. There's lined paper. And then like encyclopedias or dictionary pages. Okay? So that one is the books and maps section. The next one is the graph and line paper. So I have different graph paper, I have different lined paper. Now notice how neat and tidy these are, okay? So I have different situations and it's all neat and tidy. So if you come over here, I don't want like a big crowd of people over here. So I can fit like 3 people over here at a time. So once you see, if there's 3 people, just wait, and when you see one of them sit down, then you can mosey over, and you can take your time and look through here. So we have all different kinds of, graph and lined paper, and something sharp. Oh, there's a staple. Like that. But like, look at that cute little graph paper. That's nice. That's pretty too, okay? Okay, quit laughing at the cute little graph paper. I get very excited about paper. Alright, send me that one. Yeah, no, there's the next one. Am I going out of order? The one in the other room? Alright, this one right here, I don't want you taking anything here unless you really think you're going to use it. Does that make sense? If you see something you gotta have it, take it. It's here for you. But I don't want you to waste stuff. This one has nice cardstock in it, but I also, the top 2 brown drawers behind Biddy underneath the paper cutter, there's different, and that's the stuff that Ray brought. Ray brought better stuff than I have. So the good, nice, there's some really beautiful colors over there. I would check those out. I have like the rainbow here. But I also have like tissue paper in here. That's like pressed handmade paper. I have some weird things that, I don't know why that's in there. But inside of this one, this is like, what is this one called? I don't have a name on this one. This one also has, like, I teach my advanced kids how to make, for collaging, how to make different papers with paint. So you could use these to draw your piece on, or to cut out and use for collage or paper cutting. There's all different kinds of cool stuff in here. Okay? When you're over here, don't go through it like this and then be like, let me slam the lid on. I'm coming for you. Did you notice I put all these right by my desk so I can see you? I see you. Okay? So when you're done, try to put everything facing up. When you're going through it, try to go through it very slowly and gently and see what's inside, okay? So this is the handmade paper and the card stuff. Let me have the last one, please. Alright, this one is the specialty paper. This is just found stuff that you could use. This is the inside of an envelope, okay? We have all kinds kinds of, it's kind of crazy how cool envelopes are on the inside. They have cool textures and patterns. So, Mr. Pope, do you guys know Mr. Pope? His sweet wife, Rhea, she donated these. Inside of here, I have like postcards that I've collected. There's a few Jughead comic strips in here. I don't know anything about that, someone gave it to me. And there's some more, like handmade papers in here. There's napkins that you can glue down, that's kind of weird. There are trading cards in here, different kinds of cool stuff. Okay, everybody got it? And there are little bitty pieces of cool, this is called ephemera. You can actually buy ephemera, they actually print, it's hard to find classic like old stuff to make collages, so they actually make old stuff so that you can collage with it. And so I got this ephemera case for you guys. I was kind of shocked at how small the printings are. But it's basically just like all different kinds of cool papers inside of here that are printed to be different nice things. They're small, but it's kind of cool. And when we get to the point where you're doing your hand drawing, if this is big enough, like you could choose one of these papers to do your hand drawing on. I don't really want to see white paper anywhere. It's so stark next to the colors that you got going. Okay? Alright, and I think these are like double printed, so you probably have to look through here and try to find all the pink ones. You probably find 2 or 3 that are the same. Alright? Any questions? So again, one person is going to get a stack of magazines for each table. And then we can take 3 people over here looking through this stuff at a time. Okay? Alright, let's go ahead and get to work. Only take what you need. I'm going to come around with your guys' bins.
I have a spit.
Yes.
Work.
Okay. What is, oh yeah, hold on.
This one